I'm going to record this for anybody who wanted to watch it later. So I will go ahead. This is the this is a lab where it's already kind of made. Oh, by the way, before I get too far, I'll record this as well. I had several requests to get the grades out for the labs, and so I've started grading them. About 3 or 4 of you should have already gotten emails just as replies to one of your last labs that tell you, first of all, which labs you have turned in, and then an overall grade for the labs. So I'll be sending those out. If you haven't gotten it yet, you should get it later today or maybe tomorrow, depending on whether or not I go and get my foot checked out. All right. So I want to take this, put this right here. That's the ortho of the straight down view. All right. All right, so I'm going to open up the, actually I'll open that, and then while that's opening, I'm going to open up well, there's a typography and a typography fixed. It must be, one of them must have not worked for one of the versions that you're using. All right, well that's opening. I just want to get to the kind of deliverable, because there's a bunch of text in here, and what I want you to do, here's all the things. So this is kind of like the rubric for grading. Okay, so basically you have to label all of these features. You have to label each of those 3 states. You have to label every county in South Carolina. That's all the counties. If you need help, you can use Google. Google, I used to say, in fact, it might still be up there. You could use Gazetteer or whatever, but Google's easier. So if you don't know which county is which, I should change this lab at some point so that it's Mississippi instead of South Carolina, where I came from. But still, even if it was Mississippi, maybe there are some of you that know all the counties, but I don't. Anyway, those are all the counties in South Carolina, so you have to label each one. The data is in the lab to do that. So, for example, if this is opened, if I turn on the counties here, and then I right-click and say Label Features, it labeled 2 of them, right? It labeled county. Well, those are just the county lines. I'm going to turn the label features off. That's the county. Let's open up the attribute table. That's not the right one. That's the lines. So the counties, here's the counties that's actually labeled. So if I label these features, yep. So you don't really have to know where each one is. You've labeled every feature on there. One of the things that you're going to find a little bit frustrating in South Carolina is that probably about 1/3 of the counties, the place name, the county seat that you're labeling is the same name as the county itself. So you have to label the counties, the major cities. You want to label Charleston, Columbia, Greenville, and Spartanburg, the largest cities. I want to label them different somehow, make them a little bit bigger, bold. Okay? And then in North Carolina, label Charlotte, and South Carolina, label Augusta, just because they appear on the map and they're such large cities relative to the area. You want to label these interstates. You want to label all these U.S. highways, these water bodies, and several of them are rivers. The Savannah River. Actually, I think that's the only river. Now, you'll notice this is not a label. So what we mean by that is that you can't just go in here and turn on label features and the Atlantic Ocean won't just appear. Okay, you have to actually put the label on the map yourself, and the way that you can do that is to just add text. If you go to customize, maybe it's already open. No, toolbars. Everything appears so small on this one. Draw. I thought it was draw. Customize. Oh, there it is. It just took a while to appear. Yep, so it's under draw, and you can add text. You can say Atlantic Ocean. And then, like I said, it should be italicized, Arial. Typically, another rule is that you usually want water to be a serif font, so we'll choose Times New Roman, and we'll make it italicized right there. It's okay. Oh. I also think I want to make it white. That's just my opinion. My computer's running really slow right now. Apply worked. Okay, so I placed my Atlantic Ocean. Maybe make that a little bit bigger. It won't let me text it, change the text there. Make it 12 point. All right. So I've labeled the Atlantic Ocean. So it's different than all the other labels. All the other labels, you'll just be able to right-click, turn the labels on in order for the labels to appear. Now you won't get full credit unless you go in and modify the labels and put them in a good position. I realize it's a bit of a hard problem. The book gives you several pointers on how you, not the book, the lab text gives you several pointers on things that you can do to label the text interactively. You could actually turn all the labels off and use the interactive labeler to touch certain features and the label will appear right where you touched it. So that's one way to make the labels appear. Another way that I like to do is what I'm going to show you now. I can turn all the labels on and have it place the labels, and then I can go in here and say convert labels to annotation or convert to graphic. No, I need to convert labels to annotation. And once I do that, I'm going to put them in the map and all features. Okay. So once I do that, they become independent of the labels. And I can grab them at that point and move them around. Obviously, Williamsburg, I don't want to put it out there. But I can move them around and place them in a what I would consider a better position. Okay? However, I didn't do this, but you should. Before you do that, symbolize them the way that you want them symbolized. Otherwise, you're going to have a problem. Because what if I want all the labels now to be bold? I decided, I want them to be bold. I don't. Or what if I wanted a little halo around every single one of these labels? Well, I can go click one and change the symbol. I don't know why my computer's running slow. Change the symbol and then add a label, a halo. So the halo is under edit symbol, and then under edit symbol, it's under mask and halo. But notice that if I do that now, it only appeared on Williamsburg. The halo only appeared on Williamsburg. In order to get it to appear on all of the labels, I have to select all of the labels. Now, the problem with doing that is that once you have labels from lots of different layers, look at what happens. I've selected Atlantic Ocean when I didn't want to select Atlantic Ocean. I have to go deselect that one. Okay. So that can get tough. Okay, so it's best to get the label that you want first, and then turn them into annotation. Now there are some ways around it. If let's say I turned off the cities and the counties and the states, I turned off everything else. I left something on. There it is, counties. No, highways. If I turn off everything else, see, the nice thing is that the county labels do stay on that layer. They're still associated with that layer. See that? And so now if I turned everything off, I can grab everything. I don't know why Atlantic Ocean still showed up, but that's probably because Atlantic Ocean is not on any layer. But if my other labels were only on individual layers, I would be okay. So maybe you want to place Atlantic Ocean last. Now I can select all of those and go to properties and add the halo to every single one at the same time, and get around it that way. Mask, halo. Okay. Then I can turn everything back on, and everything has a halo. All right, now sometimes you'll notice when it goes to label things, for whatever reason, there may be multiple polygons. If you look down here, in South Carolina they pronounce it Beaufort County. In North Carolina they actually have the same county, they call it Beaufort County. South Carolina they call it Beaufort. Beaufort is kind of a cool place to go visit. It's where Hilton Head is and stuff, but it has a bunch of little sea islands, and so each of those islands got its own label. You don't need all those labels. So, in order to get credit, you should make sure that there's only one label left in Beaufort. Same thing with things like roads, like the interstates. It's okay to have duplicate interstate labels, but you don't want to have too many. Okay, don't label interstate lines. The interstate labels too. I think Georgetown was the only. Beaufort was the only one that has the duplicate labels there. Let me think if there's any other things. All right, now watch what happens. Now I can go into counties labels and actually say label features again, and I get all my labels back. Why? Well, because the first set of labels that I converted to annotation are no longer labels, they're annotation. So now it lets me label my features again. I actually have had people turn this lab in that didn't realize this, and so their lab looked like this, where everything was labeled twice. You don't want to do that. Okay. So if you do convert your labels to annotation, which is a good idea, make sure that you don't. If you do get to the point where you're like, I turned my labels to annotation too early, I just want to start over. The best way to do that is to turn off everything except for that layer, like I'm going to do here. Select everything and select everything and then delete them. Select everything, delete, and then go back to label features, and you'll be able to start fresh. All right. One other thing that I'll say before I stop talking is having to do with points. So your point features, such as your cities, when we label those, I say label features for my points. Okay? Your labels are placed such that if you go into the rules, properties, labels. I forgot these aren't point features, so maybe I'm wrong here, but placement properties. Okay, so these are polygons. So never mind. But I don't think you have to label any points, so maybe this isn't an option. But in the future, for points, there is an option that says place overlapping labels. Sometimes you want to check that on, because if you don't check that, sometimes it actually won't even label something that you want labeled. So that's a thing to, for example, if you check this only place label inside polygon, it probably would leave out some of the labels. But you don't have to worry about this one, because these are polygons, so it'll place it outside of the polygon. Okay, so never mind about that. But if you did have points, make sure that it's checking allow overlapping labels. Otherwise, it'll just ignore and won't place some of the labels based on priority and rules. Okay. Anybody have any questions about this lab as they work through it? Okay. Let me pause this. Is this a general question, or you want me to? Okay.